Does living in a neighborhood with tons of walkability, a ton of local mom and pop shops and restaurants that are not chains, and a great sense of community sound like a dream to you? It doesn't have to be. Welcome to Del Rey. We're going to check it out today. A highly sought after, shining star of a neighborhood in the city of Alexandria. And you definitely want to stick around until the end because even though this neighborhood is mostly all pros, I do have one con about Del Rey that we have to talk about that you should know before moving here. I am Melissa Terzis, DC Real Estate Mama. My contact info is going to be posted below. I have a YouTube channel here about real estate, all things living in DC, buying real estate, what life is like here, schools, all kinds of good stuff. So if that is what you are into, go ahead and subscribe so that you can be notified when I put up new videos. I try to do about one a week. I go for quality, not quantity, so I'm not pumping them out every 2-3 days. Sorry, but my videos are thoroughly and well researched, and I film everything mostly myself. Okay, so let's talk about the location of Del Rey. So the borders of Del Rey are roughly Russell Road to the west. You've got West Glebe on the north side, Route 1 on the east, and West Braddock Road on the south side. Del Rey is part of the City of Alexandria, so the mailing address is actually going to be Alexandria. You've got Reagan National Airport, which is just to the east, and then you have the Braddock Road Metro stop, which is just to the south of the neighborhood. The hustle and bustle of the neighborhood is found along Mount Vernon Avenue, which is almost a mile of shops and restaurants and all kinds of great little shops that you can stroll to and that people love and people in the neighborhood love to come and check out. The neighborhood is always very busy, and the neighborhood really shines in this capacity. It's great. Let's talk a little bit about the history. Just a quick second on this. In 1888, the government decided that they wanted to connect the capital city with George Washington's former home, because he was long gone by now, 88 or so years in the past he had died. And they connected Mount Vernon Avenue essentially from Roslyn to Alexandria. But then that really fell out of favor as the trains kind of came into existence because you just didn't need like a road for that kind of travel anymore with your horses when you had a train that could take you there as well. And then things changed again as the automobile came into favor, and then they built George Washington Parkway, which was a lot quicker and easier way to go instead of going through the neighborhoods. So those plans kind of died out. In the 1920s, Mount Vernon Avenue actually was just comprised of a few shops and residences. And then by the 1930s, they had added so many shops that it really started to become more of a destination. The area at the time was called the Town of Potomac, for a fun fact. Let's talk now about Del Rey real estate. So you can find row homes or townhomes essentially on the fringes of the neighborhood in the 700s. People wouldn't necessarily consider this walkable, but it's the best price point you can find to get you into the neighborhood of Del Rey. And yes, you will be inside of those borders. If you want to be closer to the strip on Mount Vernon, that's going to cost you. So the twins, which are basically duplex houses or houses, two together, but they're attached with one wall, or the single family homes run well in the millions up close to 2 million. And so you definitely will pay dearly for that access to Mount Vernon Avenue. I've had several clients that have bought here in the last few months, and all of them have been in the $1 to $1.3 million range for a single family home. You can find condos here in the 200s to 300s. Some are in kind of these low-rise brick buildings that you'll find around Del Rey, sort of populated around the neighborhood, as well as some which are in homes that have been converted. So you'll look at it, it looks like a house from the outside, but there's 3 or 4 units inside because they've been converted to condos. Now I want to talk about food. It's so good here. There's no chains. It is so good here, and you're not going to be hungry here, and you're not going to have to go far to shove food in your mouth. That's really good food. There's so many well-rated restaurants here in this neighborhood, in this whole Mount Vernon Avenue strip, that you are going to absolutely be in love with Del Rey. All right, they've got Los Tios, which has Salvadorian and Tex-Mex food. There is Stracci Pizza, which was actually opened during the pandemic, and they were doing their cooking in a food truck, which now operates as their kitchen, which is pretty cool. And so if they survived a pandemic, that's got to tell you how good their food is. You've got Spicecraft Indian Bistro. Peace Out Del Rey has some awesome Italian food with owners who hail from upstate New York, and they missed their pizza from back home, upstate New York. There's Pork Barrel Barbecue. There's Cheese Teak. We have to file Cheese Teak into places that I never need to go again. And the reason is because, number one, my entire family, to include my brothers, my parents, and my children, know that there's literally never enough cheese on anything I eat, and I consistently need more cheese. There's never enough. And for the second reason is that I have gone there and I was wearing wooden platforms and I somehow missed something and I fell. And I feel like they might still be laughing about that because it wasn't a graceful, I mean, are they ever graceful falls? But it wasn't even close to a graceful fall. I was like arms and legs everywhere. All right, so St. Elmo's Cafe is a great place, a weekend hub for grabbing breakfast and coffee and kind of hanging out. Even during the week, people sit there, chill out, do some work, catch the internet, and, just see and be seen kind of in Delray. There's also, for breakfast places, Stomping Ground as well as Bagel Uprising, which are other cool places to check out. And then for dessert, you could hit up Dolce and Bean for some of their delectable chocolate, or the Dairy Godmother, which usually has a line for their delicious ice cream. Aside from the food that you can just go that's ready for you, how about a grocery store? Every single grocery store you could possibly want is here. There is a butcher in Delray that's called Let's Meat on the Avenue, and meat is M-E-A-T. See what they did there? There's also an Aldi in Delray, and then in adjacent neighborhoods, you have every single grocery store you could ever want. Over in Potomac Yard, off of Route 1, coming soon, there's an Amazon grocery store. There's also Giant, and then just north in Crystal City, you have like the world's worst Costco, but that's where I shop. It's never fun. Never fun. In North Old Town, there's a Harris Teeter, as well as a Trader Joe's. And then south of Delray, in the Carlisle neighborhood, you've got a Whole Foods and Wegmans. And then finally, in Old Town, there is Safeway and Balducci's. I mean, there's nothing else you could possibly want. Every single grocery store is there if it's in the area. All right, we're going to talk now about kids. Is this a great kid-friendly neighborhood? Well, Alexandria schools aren't always favored favorably, but the marks are pretty good for the public elementary school that is in Delray, which is called the Mount Vernon Community School. There's also Mount Jefferson Park and Greenway, which is a walking trail, and there's a playground there for the kiddos. And of course, the neighborhood's also really walkable, and it's very stroller and kid-friendly, and many of the restaurants are family-friendly as well, and we'll note that kind of on their websites, or you'll see that in their reviews. Now, how about the dogs? Well, if a neighborhood like this has as much outside living as you see in these examples that I'm showing you in the videos, then yes, they love their dogs. It is very dog friendly here. There are a lot of businesses focused on dogs here as well. On the corner of East Delray Avenue and Mount Vernon is the dog store, where you can pick up anything you need in this packed little gem of a shop. Over on Route 1, there's Bark House, which is the DC area's first dog-friendly bar and restaurant with an indoor, off-leash, and outdoor dog park. And then just across the street, there is your dog's best friend's daycare. And then you also have the Delray Animal Hospital that's right there. All these doggy businesses get great reviews from their patrons and the dog-loving parents, I assume, because the dogs are not writing reviews. I mean, they could, but... And then I did talk in the beginning about that one con, so how about that one con about Delray, Melissa? This place sounds like a dream, and as I've said, I've had many clients in the last few months alone move to Delray and make it their new home. But what is the one con? Well, it is water, my friends. It is water. The problem is, depending on the house, depending on the street, depending on the location, depending on the lot and how the lot might be graded, you do find that a lot of the basements in Delray are going to end up with a wet basement at one point or another. You will want to make sure that your basement has been waterproofed, before you move in or when you move in. You want to make sure that you've got dehumidifiers and check on any of the history of that. I've had cases where I've had clients that were interested in houses in Delray, and just the way I couched the phrase to the listing agent, where I said, all right, tell me about the water in the basement. And they're like, oh, well, we had a problem, but we fixed it. And it's like, I didn't actually even know you had a problem. I just guessed, and now you outed the whole situation. So now we can dive deeper and kind of figure out exactly what's happening with the water in the basement and make sure that you are protected so that you don't move into something with a ready-made indoor sludge of a swimming pool. So that's Delray. I love it if you can't tell. It's a great neighborhood. If you have any questions about Delray, neighborhoods, real estate in the DC metro area, I am Melissa Terzis, DC Real Estate Mama, and my contact info is coming next.